Starfield, not on the list of Game of the Year awards. Some are saying that it's a snub. And it's hard. Honestly, if I'm being perfectly honest, I think that might be correct. Now, there's a lot of good games this year, no doubt. Game of the Year awards have always been flawed to me. I think their categories are flawed. For instance, it's not included in Game of the Year, but it is included in Best RPG of the Year. That's a very flawed system. Like, you can't have best of different categories and then not include each of those categories, or at least the winners of each of those categories, for Game of the Year. In my mind, what you should do, this is, again, shout out to Jeffrey Keighley if you're paying attention to this. If you're doing Game of the Year awards, a better way to do it would be not to reveal who the Game of the Year nominees are. What I would do is you reveal best of each category that you had, and I think some of those categories are flawed as well. We'll go through those. And then the only ones that are up for Game of the Years are the winners of each category. Then you'd make that decision on the night of. Through you have anybody who's able to vote on Game of the Year. I would just have a committee, select it, of different people in the industry from different walks of life, different journalists, different gamers, different streamers. Try to get as wide of a breadth as possible. And who is the unanimous one? But it all needs to be done there on the spot because the category doesn't make sense. So Starfield isn't Game of the Year nominated. But what if Starfield wins Best RPG of the Year? What then? The Best RPG of the Year cannot also be Game of the Year? It just doesn't make any sense to me. If you're nominated for one, why are you not nominated for the other? Is the RPG category so weak this year? And hint, it's not. It's probably the strongest. It's probably going to be an RPG game that wins Game of the Year this year. Is it so weak that it can't be included in Game of the Year for 2023? I think it's a very flawed system. I think they need to change it. I think the categories themselves are flawed. I think games that have yearly titles need to have their own category. I think there's a lot that you can do there. So here is this is from PureXbox.com. Shout out to my boys at PureXbox.com. No Xbox game is on the list. That's right. No Xbox game is on the list from 2023. At least I would expect a Hi-Fi Rush to be there. That's a very good game. That's on my short list for Game of the Year via Xbox. If we're talking Xbox exclusives, that would definitely be on on my list. It was a nice surprise there. Here's the full nominees for Game of the Year 2023. Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Here's the thing. Nintendo came to play this year. There is some top-tier titles here. Legend of Zelda absolutely should be up there. Super Mario Bros. Wonder, from what I'm hearing, should be up there. Baldur's Gate 3 out of this list would be my choice. I've not played some of the others there, but I know these are all quality games. This is what's so hard, and I know that the awards are subjective, but it doesn't seem like a fair category. For instance, Sea of Stars. Why is Sea of Stars not up there? That's on a lot of people's short list of Game of the Year as well. Just interesting. And this is what Pure Xbox says. Elsewhere, Starfield is at least nominated for Best RPG at the Game Awards this year, but it has extremely strong competition in the form. Yeah, why isn't Final Fantasy up there? Are you kidding me? Sea of Stars, Liza P, and of course Baldur's Gate 3. I think Baldur's Gate 3 is going to walk away with it. Or do they try to split the baby here? Does Baldur's Gate 3... If Baldur's Gate 3 is the winner of Game of the Year, do they not let it be winner of Best RPG and let Sea of Stars or Starfield be best winner of RPG? Also, Baldur's Gate 3, Sea of Stars, and Starfield, they're in the same category. They're wildly different games. This is why I think the gaming awards overall are just flawed. Now, if the purpose of the gaming awards, which largely it is to get you to discuss these games, to get you talking about these games at a time of the year, right before Christmas and stuff, then it's absolutely crushing it in that respect. But I do think that they're flawed. I think the Game of the Year awards, I think the gaming awards, I don't know. They just mean nothing to me because it is so flawed. Every year, I go over them on the X1 Bros podcast. Shout out to the X1 Bros podcast. If you've not seen it, go check it out. X1 Bros. What is it? YouTube.com/X1 Bros or Positive Gaming. Go check it out. We talk about it every year, and every year we marvel at how flawed the categories are. So, yeah, Hi-Fi Rush is actually nominated in 5 categories. Best Art Direction, Best Score and Music, Best Audio Design, Innovation and Accessibility, Best Action Game. Forza Motorsport is nominated in 2, Innovation in Accessibility, Best Sports/Racing. I also don't think sports and racing should be together. I think that's one of the flawed categories. Let's take a look at the Game Awards categories right here. Here they are. This is Game of the Year, and then you can sign in to vote because there's an audience part to it. Now, do all these games deserve to be there? I think so. Can a remake of a game be there with Resident Evil 4? I don't know. That's a good question. Sequels can definitely. Alan Wake 2, Legend of Zelda, Mario Brothers, Baldur's Gate 3, Marvel Spider-Man 2. Interesting enough here, there's no new IP in Game of the Year. Fascinating. In a year in which we have some of the best games, choices that we've ever had. Let's see, what is this next? If I hit next here, Best Game Direction. Let's take a look at Best Game Direction here. Could we also title this Best Game of the Year Awards because it's the exact same group? My problem right here. Let's go. Best Narrative. Oh, we got Cyberpunk is new. There's Final Fantasy. Thank you. But again, the other 3 are Game of the Year. Again, I don't think Game of the Year should be something that you pick now. I think it should be unveiled throughout the night as each of these categories gets selected. And each game in these categories the winner of each category should nominate you for the Game of the Year. And then the Game of the Year is selected from the winners of these categories. Because you're setting up problematic problems. Here, Best Art Direction. Oh, there's Hi-Fi Rush. Why is Alan Wake nominated for so many? I don't know that Alan Wake. It's just a wildly. I guess it's a unique art direction. Up against some other big ones. Best Score. Again, a lot of the same games. Basically, there's 5 games up to vote for here in almost every category. Best Performance. Now we're getting into, okay, so those ones are legitimate. I think the Best Performance ones are the most legitimate categories. Innovation and Accessibility. You can see my point. My point here is that these are 100% flawed. So let's just come back. Let's come back to this headline right here. Should Starfield be on the short list for Game of the Year? I think so. I think why not? Now, this year is a tough year. There's a lot up there. I think there's a lot of games that are missed out on Game of the Year. Why do you think? So let's go. Let's take this question. Why do you think Starfield was excluded from the Game of the Year nominations? And why? Do you think this is a way? No Xbox game was up there. Is it a way of snubbing Xbox? Did the Game of the Year's not like the Bethesda Activision acquisition there? Not fans of it, maybe? Maybe. Your conspiracy theorists would say yes. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I cannot contribute to malice when I think your system is just flawed. I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. I think your system is just flawed. I do think Starfield should be up there as a nominee for Game of the Year, but I think the entire Game Award system is flawed. Now, will this impact Starfield's and Bethesda's reputation going forward? No, I don't think so. Who cares? Who cares? It's still a fantastic game. It's a still marquee game on Game Pass. It's still one of the top-selling games, top-played games of the year. I don't think it'll affect it whatsoever. Do I think the games that are on the short list should be there? 100%. I just think the entire format of the Game Awards is flawed. I would love to know what you guys think, though. Do you think it's flawed? What would you like? How would you format it if you were in charge? Offer some critique, some constructive criticism here, and don't just rail against it, as I did. I am the example, everyone. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel. My name is X1 the Gamer. I love hanging out with you guys. I love talking games with you every single day. That's what we do here. We just sit back, we chat, we talk Monday through Friday video games. This video was a little late today, so apologies for that. We should be back on time tomorrow, but I think it's a snub. I really do. Starfield, robbed at the Game Awards. I know it's subjective. I think it's flawed. I think the Game Awards process, I think the categories are flawed. Let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. And we'll see you fanboys later. See you later.